All right, welcome everyone to the next episode of Phoenix Rising Live. I'm here with my friend Harry Thompson, and recent member of the Quantum Elite community. He's been engaging in the classes. So hey there, Harry. Thanks for joining me for this episode.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely, brother. So we're talking about uncovering your shadow and the significance of that. Obviously, as we're becoming more authentic to who we truly are, we're naturally seeing the darker sides of ourselves. We're seeing the darker sides of humanity. And it's not that we're creating them, they've always been there. We're just now having recognition that they are there because the light of our consciousness is now shining upon them in a more direct way with a greater level of intensity. And it can be a challenging journey at times, and it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. But also, when you're called to do it, you're called to do it. You can't avoid looking at yourself in the mirror. You can't avoid looking at these darker parts of your personality construct, of your consciousness, of the planet and all the people on it. It's just part of the natural journey of growing in consciousness, growing in awareness. So let's talk about this idea here, Harry. You've been on your own journey for some time, it seems, and certainly more recently with our community. So how has it been for you in terms of unraveling and uncovering your shadow and working through that? How has the journey been?
Well, um, as I've continued, or as I gone through my spiritual journey, my spiritual awakening thus far, if you will, however you want to phrase that. I've it's been mostly a focus on going towards where I want to go, right? But especially since I've joined the Quantum Elite community, right? It's been it's been revolutionary for me. Just in the It's been less than a month, and I've seen so much more happen in my life. Like it's oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyways, um, yeah, just as my light has intensified, if you will, I've like you said, the shadow can't really hide anymore, right? Because the light is there. And so those parts of yourself that you might you know that you might suppress, that you're like, oh, I don't like that part of myself, oh, I hate myself for this, or I feel shame or guilt for this or whatever, right? All of those things like they naturally bubble to the surface. And if they if you don't address them and you keep them suppressed, like it's something that I've really started to notice, is it will slip out unconsciously, right? Like all of these parts of you are still a part of you, whether you like it or not. And so being able to learn to love and accept all parts of yourself is just so important. It's so important. um yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah,
that's
brother.
just
That
that's
describes
just
it really well.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the idea of embracing all those aspects of yourself really is the journey of mastery because you can't separate from who you are. So the idea here is that you're just learning to embrace at a deeper and deeper level all these different aspects of your personality, of your life, of the world. And it doesn't mean that we have to bask in it, that it's going to influence us or affect us, but we still have to acknowledge it, because when we acknowledge it, then we can appreciate it, and then we can allow it to transform. Then we can allow our perception of it to transform and transfigure in the way that's going to be most conductive to our continued growth. So I think the biggest challenge people have in this journey is they don't like what they see, and
Mhm.
therefore they attempt to avoid it. They attempt to sweep it under the rug. And I'm sure you've had that experience yourself of suppression, as I have, and every human being on the planet. But again, we reach a point where that's obviously not working.
Mhm.
And therefore, what
Absolutely.
is the alternative? Is to start looking at it, start becoming conscious, and start utilizing it for a positive purpose. Because the journey here with Phoenix Rising United and the other communities that we're engaged with is about using everything in life for a positive purpose. Because what other purpose could it serve? Why use it for segregation? Why use it for separation? It just doesn't even make sense.
Exactly. Especially once you really begin to appreciate, the I mean, I'm it's hard for me to pinpoint when I started recognizing how connected we all were, right? Like how connected everything truly is. But once you really tap into that idea and really start to recognize it, it's impossible to to think that it's okay to you know suppress those things, those darker parts of yourself that maybe you don't like. For example, when I was a teenager, I I had so much anger and so much rage, right?
Hmm.
And I just like there was a time where I won't share too many details, but um I actually I hurt someone very close to me. Actually, it was in my family. Um and and from that point on, I saw the potential for destruction, right, in my own power. I saw how powerful I was, and I thought that because I had used it in that moment, um for for a destructive purpose, that um that was wrong and that was bad and that I needed to suppress that. And so so I tucked that away for years. And it's only just recently that I've realized, like, hey, this is actually important for me to have. Actually, there's something that Jordan B. Peterson says, that being um, being weak isn't, or being something to the effect of, it's not virtuous to be uh, like complacent, compliant, or whatever, right? It's weak. And that really rang true with me. And as I've gone through this journey, that's been something that it's like, been important for me to learn to harness for a positive purpose, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, it really doesn't matter what we experience in our past. Some people have had major traumas and seeming losses and grief and things of that nature, because it can all be used as fuel. And certainly, the greater level of depth the wound, the greater
Hmm.
level of depth the power that's accessible to oneself. So I really like to take that stance that, hey, it really doesn't matter what you've been through, because you can decide to use it for a positive purpose. You can decide to use it for your transformation.
Exactly.
And, not everyone's ready to hear that, though. Some people really love hanging on to their negativity because it gives them a sense of identity. It gives them a sense of specialness. It gives them a sense of being unique, being an individual, whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's tied to how they make money. And so, it becomes, again, part of their financial identity in that respect. So, but having the courage to say, hey, um, despite how this has served me in the past, or the secondary gain that maybe I've experienced from it, it's obviously not supporting my greater growth. It's obviously not supporting the evolution of my soul. Therefore, I'm choosing to let it go. I'm choosing to empower myself from that experience and utilize it in a positive way. That really is the embodiment of personal transformation. So, from that standpoint, Harry, in your journey of the shadow work and obviously the broader category of personal transformation, what does personal transformation mean to you?
Well, Matt, you one thing that's the only thing that's like really constant, and like it's I suppose it's a proverb, but the more I live, the more I see it, is that everything is constantly changing. um but personal transformation, right, is more than that. It's it's not just going through the motions and whatnot. It's recognizing the cycles that that you've set up, and recognizing the ones that don't serve you anymore, right? And exchanging them, or redirecting your energy into things that do serve you, right? um you know
Yeah.
I I mean, a really a really easy example is smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's your 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 breath is how you bring it life into your body consistently, like constantly, all the time, right? And so really by smoking, and there's so many things that, you know, it's like it increases your anxiety and all this stuff, even though most people smoke to, you know, curb their anxiety, right? All these kinds of things. So recognizing that that doesn't serve you and moving into something that does, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to keep with this example, maybe, you know, you start going for walks or you start going for jogs or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Just putting your energy into things that are that really are, you know, beneficial for you, that do serve you, right? Because a huge part of the transformation for me has been learning to respect myself and love myself so that I can more fully and more deeply love and respect everyone and everything around me.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, being as vulnerable as you're comfortable with, what is an experience in your life where you really had that inner knowing that it was time to transform your life in some way, shape, or form? Was there any pivotal moment? I mean, you described with that relative. Was there something else that really made you decide to walk this path?
Um, well, there was uh, there was a portion of my life where I was living on the streets. I was using hard drugs, and you know, I got to a point where I saw the direction I was taking my life, and I was like, I have to do something about this,
Hmm.
right? This is going to a really dark place.
Hmm.
And I had already, you know, had some experiences prior to that that I would say were, you know, somewhat somewhat illuminating in a spiritual sense. um but you know, as life goes, you know, you you live and you learn. But yeah, that was honestly a really really big one for me, was you know, coming, like, because when you're not taking responsibility for for everything that you do in your life, it's honestly really really selfish,
Hmm.
right? um and I'm not quite sure exactly how to elaborate on that, but um just from my experience, I know, looking at myself, you know, I was so caught up in my own pain and my own suffering that was self-created, right? I was perpetuating that cycle of suffering,
Hmm.
um you know, by doing that and distancing myself from, you know, the people who cared about me, and and all of these things, you know, it it was I was I mean, I don't know how to point out further the fact that, you know, keeping yourself in suffering, as hard as it is for some people to hear, it is selfish.
Yeah.
And to really empower yourself and to take responsibility, it's so freeing. It really is. Like, you're only trapping yourself by keeping yourself in that cycle of suffering. Because as I don't remember where I heard this or if I came up with it or what, but pain happens, suffering is a choice.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, brother. Well, yeah, I appreciate you opening up and sharing that, and that's significant, right? And particularly with people that are more um, empathic, people that are more intuitive, people that are more aligned to that source power, because they have more energy running through their system. They're dealing with more emotions, more intense emotions. And because in this Western culture, we don't have the education in terms of how do you manage that? How do you work with those tools? It ends up often substance abuse ends up becoming a part of the journey. And it was definitely a part of mine. Fortunately, not hard drugs, but certainly cigarettes and alcohol and cannabis and things of that nature. So, um, yeah, man. I mean, good for you though to really, decide that you wanted to take responsibility for yourself and make that transition. And maybe you can relate to this, Harry. Did it just come to a point where it no longer made sense for you to engage in that past behavior and it came a point in time for you to change?
Yeah, absolutely. There have been a couple of times in my life where that's happened. Um, and it's just like it's so natural, right? That you get to a point and it's a crossroads, if you will. But you're you're almost constantly presented with the option, right? It's always lingering in the back of your head, like I know I know what I'm doing. I'm aware that this is not good for me. So am I going to continue to do this thing that's not good for me? Or am I going to decide to help myself and in turn help everybody else? Because as I said before, it's all so deeply connected. Um, am I going to do the best thing, the most ecological thing? Love that word. And really, put put myself first and take care of myself, right?
Absolutely, brother. Yeah. So when you make that decision, it's obviously coming from a higher minded place. And it's also the realization that the old ways just don't work. So, sometimes people think of like making a decision like it's a really hard thing. But as you start paying attention to that inner voice as you were, it becomes louder and stronger to the point where you can't really ignore it anymore. And then you're basically compelled to move your life forward in a different way. And it's an inner magnetism. It's that inner ignition. And that's kind of the next question here is the idea of rising above the ashes. That's really when it takes place because you've been in the shadows, in the darkness, kind of killed yourself in a multitude of ways. And now you're allowing your past to die, which is part of the cycle of life. And now, like a phoenix, you're choosing to rebirth and live from a brand new perspective. So how is that weaved into your life now, Harry? I mean, maybe give us a timeline. How long ago was it when you were using the hard drugs?
Oh boy. it was it was crazy. Back in it's been about 2.5 years.
Yeah. So really not that long. And so in
Yeah.
a period of 2.5 years, you've made this transition. You've made a better decision for yourself in the sense that you want to grow and live from your soul. And now you've risen above your past, risen above the shadows and darkness. So what's your future about now as you continue to rise? What path are you on?
If I'm yeah, gotta be completely honest.
Yeah.
My path and my intention is to I mean, obviously I can only ever speak from my own experience, but I want to share what I know in um through the medium of music in particular, but in any way I really can, um to really just open the door for people, right? Because so many people, like, they're stuck in the loop, right? And they're so caught in it that, like, there's just nothing else. And so it's like, if I can if I could be a beacon, if I could just be like, hey, look, there is a way out, right? Like, you can walk right out of hell. There's like because what's the sign in Dante's Inferno? Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. But the only way out is through, right? So you
Mm.
just gotta finish it out and just get right through it. And like, so just opening people's minds and hearts to the idea, to the ideas of how connected we are, and how beautiful life is, and how beautiful it can be.
Mhm.
And just to be able to empower people, to show them that they are the creators of their lives and they can make it whatever they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. That's extraordinary. It sounded like you were going to go into a rap there. That was almost a verse. That was sweet. What kind of music are you creating?
Honestly, yeah, I've always been a poet, so rap naturally just is something that comes up. But I love to sing. Um, and I mean, I really love all music, and so I feel like if I can incorporate all of my tastes in some way, shape, or form. I can maybe touch, more people's lives, because not everybody likes the same music, right?
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, just being in the moment, and really just giving people what they need right now is what I think is the most important.
That's incredible, brother. And as we wrap it up here, is there any creative self-expression you wish to share? Do you have any music or rap lyrics or poetic verses you'd like to share?
Well, shoot, maybe I do. Hold on. Let's see here.
And that's the idea here. I'll just continue the conversation as you're looking.
Go
The
ahead.
idea here is for self-expression. That is our purpose. And whatever way it transpires, whatever way we're inspired to share, that's really what it all comes down to. So whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's speaking, whether it's art, whether it's business, whether it's building a community or a team of people, it's all equally as creative as long as it's coming from that inspired place. You know that it's source power speaking through you.
Exactly. I have. I think I got a quick little snippet here.
Yeah.
As I align with divine intentions, take a look into my soul and define progression, how this life has taught me oh so many different lessons, so I share them now to turn a guess into blessings. What's a writer who doesn't write, a healer who doesn't share, a brother not spreading light, a mother who doesn't care? Relax and let it happen, say begin, only rapping can expressions of my passion, share the vision, make it lasting. That's the thing, you can't force a result, you just act.
Beautiful, bro. How do you feel sharing that?
Honestly, a lot less, a lot better than I thought I would.
Oh, it's kind of liberating, right? Just having the opportunity to express. There's no judgment. I mean,
Mhm.
definitely brought me some sparks of enthusiasm when you kicked it off there, right? I'm sure many of the viewers as well. So, yeah, bro. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's what it's all about, having the
Of
opportunity to share our gifts with one another.
of course. Thanks for having me. Yeah, that was. I mean, shoot. I yeah. What's like I said, what's a brother healer who doesn't share, right? Like, gotta get it out there. Thank you for the opportunity.
My brother, absolutely. So it's great that we're connected here. Thank you all for watching. Of course, join us here for the Phoenix Rising Masterclass on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, phoenixrisingmasterclass.com. And we'll be unlocking your inner creativity to a greater and greater degree, igniting your passion so that you can fulfill your divine mission here as Harry is clearly stepping into his. So thank you all for watching. Thank you, Harry, for joining me. And much
Thanks
love
for
and
having me.
blessings to everyone.
Love you guys.
Peace and love. Bye for now.